Hello, everybody who's coming to our second Mystery Masterclass. Oh, these are so fun for me. I can't even tell you how fun these are for me. And I'm so glad that you're getting a lot of value out of them as well. Welcome back, those of you that are joining us for class number 2. Those of you that are new here, Mystery Masterclass, as you've probably seen when you signed up, is just pure energy. I'm just tapping in. I'm feeling the energy of the group. I'm allowing whatever message wants to come through. I have 2 messages that already dropped in. Thank you to some of my clients this morning. I just love synchronicity when I feel like just so passionate about a message that I want to share with a private client as they're dropping different things in my Voxer. Why not share it here on Mystery Masterclass? Like, spread the wealth, right? So these are some of the messages that my private clients get that are very very customized and personalized for them in their very specific situations. But the overarching high level messages in shifting and transforming energy is applicable to all of us. That's Mystery Masterclass. We never know where we're going to venture. Those of you who have an aversion to colorful language, a lot of times when I start rocking and rolling, y'all know the F-bombs will drop. I can't help it. It's just how passion comes through me. It feels like the best word for me to use at the time. I know y'all are good with it. And if you're not, you wouldn't have been here in the first place, or you'll just bounce, and that's totally cool. I don't know why I decided to talk about my colorful language, but it's been really intense this morning. I've been dropping F-bombs all day with my clients. And so I know that they're a little feisty this afternoon. Okay, little quick housekeeping. Use the Q&A for any specific questions that come in, anything you want me to expand on, even if it has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. I really feed off of your energy. As soon as you ask a question, I have a gift of reframing it in a way that can access higher self, access your higher coach to get the wisdom and then deliver it to you. Don't hesitate to use the Q&A. I'll keep an eye on that as I break in whatever wants to come through me today. And then definitely use the chat. This is the place for community. This is the place for connection. Share what's resonating. Again, I don't know where these messages are necessarily coming from or who they're for. If I'm sharing something that's for you, let me know. That one was for me. That one's hitting home. Or if I'm saying something that's triggering, let me know that too. Ooh, I disagree. I want this to be a place like all energy levels are welcome. All experiences are welcome. There's zero judgment on any of it. I don't take any of it personally. It just allows me to see all the energy, which to me, this is just a playground of energy, the good, the bad, the ugly, the supportive, the limiting, like all of it. It's just a massive playground in frequency and vibration. And that's the fun part. My own frequency and vibration and watching how I move through all of them and watching how all of you move through all of them is, I think I could just sit and watch energy all day, every day, and read it. Okay, so there were 2 messages coming through really strong this morning. One of them I just finished an exchange with a client on about imposter syndrome. So I want to ask already out of the gate, who has little bouts of imposter syndrome and who experiences little bouts of comparing yourself to other people out there and what they're doing and how they're doing it, and who feels they're so far behind and they can't catch up and other people have things figured out that you don't have figured out. What's really cool about that question is, yeah, wow, we're taking some ownership, right? We can't change or shift what we don't acknowledge is there. And when we all of a sudden are like, ooh, yep, that's there. That's definitely alive for me. It's really powerful. I feel confident in coaching, but I do compare myself to others, of course. By the way, y'all, I got to give a shout out to Elaine. My team just grew. Elaine's been a longtime friend and client, actually lives in my hometown. And Elaine stepped into a new role in my company and is here to support all of us. Actually, she's here to support me, especially in getting this message out further and wider. She's helping me get my book untangled from Balboa Press so that I can actually do things like turn it into an Audible, which many people have asked me to do, turn it into whatever I want to turn it into, to rewrite it, to do anything. So she's supporting me with all sorts of publicity stuff behind the scenes. Those of you that were at the first Mystery Masterclass, I shared with you, I have a whole new passion and a whole new, like, massive pull to take the gloves off and spread this message specifically around energy leadership, the 7 levels of energy. I've been doing it for 15 years. It's just time for anybody who has ears and wants to listen to hear it. And I'm willing to be that voice. And I know all of you are willing to be that voice as well. And I'm putting my energy and my money and my time where my mouth is. and it's time to spread it like wildfire, like a contagion. So imposter syndrome. First and foremost, imposter syndrome doesn't go anywhere. There's no, oh, I've got it all figured out, and now I am confident in my own right, and I never compare myself to anybody. The first thing I want to say about imposter syndrome is all around, what if we just accept that it's a reality that's always going to be there, and stop thinking it's something we have to overcome. I'm actually starting to lean more and more towards 90% of the time blocks being bullshit. Blocks being bullshit because we get sidetracked in believing that we have to overcome them before we can move forward. Or we get sidetracked in believing that they're keeping us from achieving what we want to achieve. It's just not true. It's just not true. It's a decoy. It's a distraction. Every single time we're like, ooh, I have this inner block I need to work through. I can't really move forward, or I won't be as powerful, or I won't be as strong unless I address this block. When the reality is the only block to be addressed is to just fucking do it anyway. Like, you can actually still do it with a block. You can actually still take the action. You can actually still move forward. You can actually still show up for yourself and for other people. Like, the block isn't actually stopping you from anything. Think about it. You just think it's stopping you. So often we're like, oh, I gotta make sure that I gotta overcome this imposter syndrome, and I gotta overcome this insecurity, and I gotta become more confident, and I gotta do all these things. I'm telling you, that list is freaking bottomless. It's bottomless because you will always be limited. You will always be limited. I actually believe in negative affirmations because when used in the right way, it leads to acceptance. So if I say to myself over and over again, I'm not far enough along, 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 eventually that sentence loses steam. It becomes neutral. So I actually love doing negative affirmations because it leads to a place of acceptance. And the 4 words that I learned from Bruce is, so what, now what? I'm not far enough along. So what? Now what? And we accept and we take action in spite of the block. And we have this illusory belief that everything's just supposed to feel good all the time. I'll tell you when it feels good is when feeling bad feels good. That for a mind twist. I'll tell you when things aren't scary is when you're not scared of being scared. I'll tell you when things, actually, those are the 2 examples I think I have. But do you see where I'm going with this? So blocks are bullshit for that reason, I believe. And the other reason why blocks are bullshit is, how do you actually know that it's a block? And how do you not, versus your intuition guiding you in a different direction? How do you know if it's a block or if it's out of alignment with your path that you're meant to be on? And so often we're solving shit that's not even shit that needs to be solved. It's just guidance that needs to be listened to. And so this is a key discernment to recognize. Is it fear? And if it's fear, go through it. Fuck the block. If it's fear, go through it. Or is it intuition, which just means then don't go that direction and find a different direction. But all this, all these inner blocks and all my gales and all this stuff, 90% of the time, it's just a distraction. It's just a decoy. It's just a way to procrastinate. And I'm getting away from imposter syndrome a little bit, but we're just going to run with it. And one of the things that I've discovered about fear is the faster you go through it, the faster you even fail, the faster you succeed. So let's talk about fear for a minute here. I'm not talking about fear of success or fear of failure or fear of rejection, all those loosey-goosey blocks that are super vague that we're trying to overcome, but they don't actually translate to anything practical in our lives and our business. I'm talking about, I know I'm supposed to reach out to that person, but I'm fucking terrified. Yes, we know that the deeper block is the fear of rejection, but what is the action? What is the task? And every single one of you, I guarantee there's something on your to-do list that you're putting off because you're scared. And yeah, the deeper block, fear of success, fear of failure, fear of rejection, doesn't matter. What we want to get to is the task. Because whatever that task is, that's your action. And the faster you do that action, instead of think, ooh, but I gotta wait till I don't feel afraid I'm gonna be rejected, the faster the action, the faster the success. The faster the action, the faster the universe comes in and supports you. Because why? Because it requires trust. to take that action. It requires you to actually trust in the unknown. And so the universe is, thank you for handing the wheel over to me and trusting that even though you're scared, I got you. I have your back. I'll hold you. And even if you take this step and you fail miserably, and even if we go to worst case scenario and we allow ourselves to go to worst case scenario, even if all that happens, even if you take this step and your reputation is ruined, even if you take this step and it ends a relationship, even if you take this step, guess what? I got you. I got you. You will rise. There's nothing to be afraid of. Just go. Just show up. JFDI, just fucking do it. Stop distracting yourself thinking that you have to feel a certain way before you do. Do it scared. There's no other way around it. And now this is where the imposter syndrome comes in. We look at people and we're like, look at all the stuff they have figured out. What you are seeing as actual facts, if we take all the emotion out of whatever we're looking at, that's creating this insecurity and this self-doubt and not good enough and what we call inner blocks, whatever we're seeing in somebody else, we're seeing a sliver of the whole picture. And what our mind does is it fills in the rest of the story. It fills in the rest of the story. And the story is a lie. It's not even true. It's all just story that is perpetuating the imposter syndrome. So if I look at Tony Robbins and I'm like, oh, he's so lucky. Look at all of his followers and look at, he sold out events and oh my gosh, I'm never going to be able to get to the place of Tony Robbins. And guess what? Tony Robbins went through the same shit that I'm going through right now. Tony Robbins went through the same shit that you're going through, whether you're a 14, 15-year entrepreneur, or if you're a 1-year entrepreneur. We all started at the same spot. We all started with 0 followers, 0 knowledge, 0 skill set, 0 business, 0 network, 0 everything. We all started at ground zero. Now, some of our ground zero started when we were children because our families were very well connected. That's not my case, but some of you, that might be the case, that you have people, that's the case for my husband. That's the case, they're going to be the case for my sons because they are immersed in this baseball community where everybody knows everybody and it's a super small world and all these super successful people play baseball. So my son has connections like that, but I didn't have connections like that. So his skills are starting much younger than my skills started. But at the end of the day, he also started at 0. Doesn't matter what age he started at 0. And he still has to take all these steps to be successful. I'm thinking about my son because he's leaving for college in a month, which is a whole nother story because he's just stepping into adulthood. He's still at 0. He still has to make tough calls. He still has to call his boss when he fucking oversleeps for work for the first time because he's got a real job. And it's hard. And so these steps in business that we're making so important and so serious, and it's my purpose and it's my calling and I must help people, all this like seriousness around business, guess what? It's no different than when you're 18 and you miss a day of work and you got to call your boss. You're still fucking terrified. It's the exact same thing. It's just we think that it's so much more important, which is the illusion as well. And imposter syndrome, you're not seeing the whole picture. And this is really the message that wanted to come through. Thank you to one of my clients. This is really the message that wanted to come through is guess what? It is hard. Growing a business is not for the faint-hearted. Putting yourself out there, selling yourself, positioning yourself, promoting yourself, it's hard. It's a grind. It requires day after day. And I'll tell you, the people who say it's easy, there is a way for it to be easy. The people who say it's easy, it's because they forgot it was hard because they learned to love hard. They learned to feel comfortable in hard. Hard energizes us. Challenge stretches and feels exhilarating, not scary. That's the shift. So if we keep thinking it's supposed to be easier, oh, I'm missing something because it's supposed to be easier than this. That's up here. It's fucking hard. God, hard is fun. Gosh, achieving hard shit is fun. Doing stuff that scares us. We don't get the exhilaration that comes from overcoming fear without overcoming the fear. And so many people are trying to have the experience without doing the things that create the experience. and believe and actually feel entitled that it's just supposed to feel fun. It's just supposed to feel good all the time. It's supposed to feel aligned. It's not going to feel aligned. You're doing something brand spanking new and it's fucking scary. Is it out of alignment or are you just scared? You're just scared. What are you scared of? And this is a big lesson that I'm learning from Elaine right now. She's, I have nothing to be afraid of. I'm not afraid of anything. And she has every reason to have that disposition because of the things she's been through in her life. And so she's bringing me so much perspective because by golly, you think I haven't been settling in level 3 over the last number of years? You're damn straight I have. How long have I had this vision to bring this message out to as many people who are willing to listen? A decade? And how many times have I just given up on it because it got too hard, or it took away too much of my space, or it took away too much of my freedom? Do you want it or don't you? It's a decision. And if you want it, you do it. And if you don't, then stop beating yourself up for having a shitty business because you don't even want it, or having a business that's not growing. You have to be honest with yourself. There's so many clients I've worked with, they got into entrepreneurship, and what I helped them do was release the should that they should be an entrepreneur or they should be a coach because they invested in a coach training program. And when they released it, they found dream freaking jobs and it made them so happy and so fulfilled, and their gifts and their contributions are recognized. There's no badge of honor of being an entrepreneur if entrepreneurship isn't for you. We have to be honest with ourselves. Either we want it and we're willing to do what it takes to get it, and we're willing to decide to have it, or we aren't. But we create all of our own suffering. One of my coaches once said, anything you don't have, it's because you haven't decided to have it at all costs. Now, does this mean, oh, I'm not going to sleep and I'm not going to take care of myself and I'm not going to spend time with my family? No, it's balanced. I want that too. You get to have lots of wants. I want to have an incredible impact. I want to have a shit ton of money to live a life that's fun, exhilarating, adventurous, and beautiful. I want to have a close connected family. I want to have close connected, brilliant, paradigm shifting clients. I want to have a beautiful home. I want to drive a fast car. You get to have all the wants. Just because I say at all costs, you get to want all of it at all costs. Yeah, you're going to have to prioritize certain things, and we don't want to let these things detract from the other things that we desire, but you get to want to have it all. And you have the capacity to hold it all. You have the capacity to hold all of your desires. You wouldn't have them unless you did. You have the capacity to pursue all of your desires. It's just not allowing one desire to help you procrastinate in another desire. And I'm speaking to myself because one of my desires was all this freedom and all this spaciousness, and I have that. But the reality is spaciousness and freedom comes with a cost to the impact I want to have, comes with a cost to the number of people I can talk to every day. And it's all about balance. And you can have it both ways. And some weeks, maybe you want to have your calendar full with inspiring, powerful, transformational conversations and doing events like this. And other weeks or other months or other years even, you might be like, now is a time for rest. The next thing that comes through with all of this is patience. Because so much of our imposter syndrome comes from judging where people are on step, I said this with my client, 18,648, when we're on step 300. And we're like, why can't I figure it out? Why am I not further along? I'm sorry, but at the end of the day, all you can do is just take the next step right in front of you. And so long as you're focusing on why you don't have it figured out or what you're missing, you're not taking the fucking step that's right in front of you. Every single one of us know the exact next step to take. Every single one of us do. But we get so distracted trying to figure out our blocks and what else do I need to know? And is that really the right step? And it's just take the step. You won't know until you take the step. And so every single human on the face of this planet, anybody that you look to as a role model, Brene Brown, Oprah, Tony Robbins, an elite athlete somewhere, every single soul who's ever achieved anything, all achieved it the same way. They took the next step in front of them, and they had the patience, the tenacity, the grit, the commitment to take step after step. Everything is ours and can be ours. And that's the human realm. And something else happens in the unseen when we pull off the human, our job. When we do our human job, of decide, commit, show up, do the scary things, this whole flood of unseen support comes in and collapses time. But so long as we're not doing our part, we lengthen the time thing. So here we are already feeling impatient and already feeling a sense of urgency and already feeling like we're losing time and have a lack mentality around time. And we're so focused on all of our blocks that we're not doing the things that then actually collapse the time. It's a co-creation dance. We do our part as limited human beings, and the universe meets us there. The universe meets us at the decision, meets us at the commitment, meets us at the stake in the ground, meets us at the line in the sand. I am not available for anything less than this. I am not available for anything less than using my gifts to their fullest potential. I'm not available for anything less than exhausting what I am here to do on this earth. I am not available to go to my grave not all used up. That is my commitment. That is my determination. I will do what is required of me to fulfill that. I'm saying this for all of us. It's like a Manny rant. It's saying, I'm not going to play small, but I'm not going to figure out why I'm playing small. No, I'm not going to fucking think about why I'm playing small. I'm just going to not play small. And what that means is I'm going to do the shit that scares me. Rolling around in my head about making a decision. It's so funny. Like I say something and then I say it's opposite. I'm like, this is the fear. So let me just talk about talking to this energetic when we're indecisive about something. Is it right or isn't it right? Is now the right time or not the right time? We don't have a crystal ball. We don't. And we can rely on our intuition as best we can. But sometimes our intuition doesn't show up for us. So the question I like to ask when people are going back and forth on a decision is, if you didn't do it or did do it, both led to the same inevitable success, which would you choose? If you did do it now or didn't do it now, and both led to the same inevitable success, which would you choose? Because I guarantee they both actually lead to the same place. They do. Every decision leads to the same place. It's just deciding. There are infinite pathways to actualize and manifest the end goal. But all we have to do is decide one pathway, and they're all equally as effective and will be guided every step of the way. So that's a powerful question. If my success were inevitable, no matter what I chose right now, which would I choose? Now you're getting into your heart, not of your head, and you're stopping the crystal balling, and you're stopping the futurizing, and you're stopping trying to predict how it's going to go, and trying to figure out, and if everything goes wrong, what you're going to do, and all the worry that comes with that. You just shut the mind down and drop right into the heart. Thinking of the timing for the customer and me has to be right to take full advantage of. Ooh, might be a non-truth. Yeah. Whoo. I felt that one. Thank you for saying that. So the timing, let me just tell you the energy right here, has to be right to take the full advantage of the opportunity. I always use voices to exaggerate energy. It's FOMO. Oh my gosh, I might miss a sliver of this opportunity. And if I miss it, I will never get it back. So much, and just my whole insides are like strangling the opportunity. I gotta squeeze every last ounce of juice out of this opportunity. If 1 ounce of lemon juice does not go in, my water is not as strong as it should be. You see that? It's like, ooh. I don't know why lemon juice came to me, because I freaking squeeze lemon juice every single morning, and I literally do the exact same thing. I'm like, there's got to be more juice in this lemon. Put it in the water. It's like, why? Like, seriously, is a few more drops of lemon really going to make a difference? That's a lack mentality that shows up in me making lemon water. But now we talk about it with opportunities. How we do anything is how we do everything. I guarantee I'm doing this exact same thing somewhere, because if I'm doing it with my lemon and trying to squeeze every last ounce of juice out of my lemon, I'm probably trying to squeeze juice out of something else too, which is a lack mentality. What is coming up is actually receiving and being thrilled, ready to take the action. Yes, happens, and feeling it feels great. Oh, I just got to your third question, or your third answer. After I answered the other two, which my guess is the other one was very useful for me in my own awareness with lemon juice, as well as I'm sure many other people who find themselves trying to make the most out of something. I actually had a client, we spent 5 days in Mexico together. I did a retreat for a number of clients came to Mexico with me a couple years ago. And this was the main theme for her, was like, gosh, I have to squeeze the most out of every experience. So she was coming over from Europe into Mexico, and she's like, I gotta maximize my time here, and I gotta maximize my time with you. I see this energy show up everywhere, which is a mirror to my own energy. So I'm super interested in exploring how it's showing up in my life and in my business, and where I'm trying to squeeze so much out of something, thinking that's the end of it if I don't squeeze it all out. But that was like, I see this a lot with my clients. They're like, and it's a red flag for me if I go into a conversation with somebody who's exploring, if we're exploring partnering together or they're exploring hiring me, if they're like, I have to maximize my time with you. I only have 1 month and then I'm out of money. It's, ooh, I'm feeling like you just want to like freaking squeeze the juice out of me as much as you can. That doesn't feel good to me. That does not feel good to me. That's a huge red flag where I'm like, ooh, if we got to squeeze the juice rather than trust, like you're talking about squeezing the blood life, the life force out of me, like I'm actually not available for that. It's a theme that I see a lot. And again, I'm sure there's way more places in my life it's playing out than in this lemon too. Who else is seeing that theme? Who else is seeing? I'm going to pop over to the chat here now. So much time and energy wasted on figuring out our blocks. If we could just suspend disbelief instead. Yeah. Who else finds themselves trying to squeeze as much as they can out of things? 38 of you beautiful souls here today. I'm so honored. Thank you for being here. Thank you for receiving frequency, receiving energy, receiving wisdom, receiving guidance, receiving me as the vessel. I find myself moving too quickly on to the next thing. Ooh, that's a good, thank you. It's a discernment, like it's a nuance and a discernment in the energy when we're moving too quickly versus not moving fast enough. I'm just gonna lean into it. I actually I had something come to me a couple months ago and I said, if you're feeling excitement, slow down. If you're feeling fear, move fast. And it dropped in and I was like, holy shit. Because I had that start happening because one of the things I teach a lot is about insight act. So when you receive the intuitive guidance, like put it into action. The quicker you can put it into action, the less likely that other voice is going to come in and have you question it and stop you. And so it's like the second the insight comes in, put it into action. And so that really is a powerful framework to use when you find yourself overthinking and information overload, trying to find the right way. It just eliminates all that inefficient thinking that just takes so much energy. And it's just like, nope, if I have the insight, I'm taking action. Now I lived that. Like that was my how I operated was insight act, insight act, insight act. And I've more recently realized at this stage that's not serving me. And I'm wondering if this is where you start to hit a certain place where you're so comfortable with fear, like you actually don't need to insight act because you're not afraid of fear. And so that's not going to really slow you down. So then we actually swing the pendulum in the opposite direction and it's okay, slow down. Because now what I found is I was insight acting too fast, which is also my nature. And there's a lot of value in still doing it that way. You can't mess it up. That's the biggest lesson I have for all of you. So you really can't mess it up. You can't fuck it up. It doesn't matter if you go fast, if you go slow, like it's just going to create different experiences and all experiences are equal. But what I realized was like, I would act so fast on things that then I would receive more information. So then I'd be like, back it up, then go again, and back it up, then go again. And so now I give myself more space, and Ashley moves at the same speed that I do, which is why she's been on my team for so many years, is we're being really intentional where I'll be like, you know what, let's give it a day. Let's sleep on it. Let's see if anything else wants to come through. So I don't slow it down completely, but I definitely am like, let's just give it a little space. This decision, I'm releasing the urgency. So I guess that's the discernment is like insight act is super powerful when there's fear and procrastination because of the fear. But when there is urgency and impatience, it works against us. So I'm starting to come into deeper awareness for myself. And what I want to help you all do is, what does urgency and impatience feel like in your body and in your system? And to me, it's very, well, it's graspy. It's, gosh, where do I feel it? I feel it in my mind. I gotta figure this out. I gotta figure this out. And it's like, what's the urgency is the question that finally I'm training myself. Like, wait a second, what is the rush? Like, why are we making this so urgent? It's like literally somebody's not going to die if we don't make the decision today, right? And again, the whole purpose of this part of the conversation is to understand and be in such hyper awareness with yourself to know when you're in fear and procrastination to act faster. And when you're feeling urgency and acting too fast to slow down because there's no rush. And when we push the timeline faster than divine orchestration, we burn out. I burn out. And when we push the timeline from urgency, it's not sustainable. And there'll always be another thing that feels urgent. It becomes a new pattern in business. And so you can just see both sides of that pendulum. I would say one is level 1, fear, procrastination, and the other one is the level 2, consciousness. Is anybody here who's not an iPad coach or who hasn't learned about the energy levels from me yet? Let me know, because I can go deeper into these too. And I know iPad coaches, and we all just learn so much layer by layer. But level 2 is that urgency, rush, push, force, make it happen. A little bit like squeezing the lemon. Oh my gosh, if I don't do it now, I'm going to miss out. So there's those 2 frequencies. And then there's just the higher frequencies, which is in divine timing. I'll know when the time is right. Confidence in myself, not slowing down because of fear of procrastination, just because it doesn't quite feel right yet. There must be more coming. This is the dialogue that starts to play out in my thoughts. Like, there must be more here. I want to create space and allow for it to unfold. I believe there's more coming through on this. So I'm going to hold off for a little bit until it feels complete and ready. It's basically handing the timing over to God, universe, source, and knowing that if there's other orchestration happening, me putting things into action too fast actually interferes with that orchestration, and things need to be completely like reneged on the universal realm, because I just like flipping threw a wrench in the whole plan by acting too fast. It's like holding and enjoying the spaces in between insight act. Yes. Find myself bouncing from one thing to another and find it doesn't give me things time to deepen. Ooh, yeah, I'll speak into that. There's some great stuff there. Urgency and patience, you feel it in your chest. It's heavy. Yeah, it reminds me fear and now urgency are only helpful when there's real threat. Yes. Turn over the timing. There you go. Yeah, there's been a lot of impatience, and it's been more impatience than fear, but the fear's still there. So when we're impatient, what are we afraid of? Hold on, hold it. Let me hold it. Afraid it's not going to happen. Afraid we'll never get there. And so then how we shift that is belief and knowing it happening is inevitable. I just don't know when or how. Afraid we're never going to get there. Afraid it's not going to happen is just compromise in belief and decisiveness. I have decided, I have committed that this is inevitable. So long as I am breathing, I am moving in the direction towards it. I just don't know when, and I just don't know how, but I'm going to keep moving. There's the message. Bouncing from one thing to another and find it doesn't give things time. Okay, so this is our 1-5 interplay analysis by paralysis. So many opportunities. I can go in every single direction. This is actually something that's really been standing out. I love that you bring this up because it's super synchronistic. I just recently decided full-on prioritization of one pathway, one platform, like this ridiculous focus, and the amount of energy and productivity that has returned to me is indescribable. And again, it's if we go back to the decision, and you can even intuitively make it, like for me now, I only through automation am really doing anything on Instagram and Facebook. And I still got to figure out the automation for Facebook, but we're going to figure it out. But I'm officially becoming, I'm like the ultimate seagull, where I'm dropping my shit and flying there. Like I'm just going to remove the apps. Like I'm not even going to engage with the audience. Ashley might do some engaging over there. She'll definitely be delivering stuff that pops up, but I'm pretty much going to check out of those 2 platforms as much as humanly possible. And most of it's going to be run on automation, because I'm reinvesting all that energy to go all in on LinkedIn. And it's a call that I've had for a long time, but I've always been like, my audience is on Facebook, and that's where most of the people are following me. And it's just like everything inside of me is decide all in on LinkedIn. And that's where I'm sharing my message, and I'm sharing it every single day. And so, and if we're not connected on LinkedIn, that's where I'll be engaging. That's where I'll be commenting. That's where I'll be spending my time. That's where I'll be contributing to other people's genius, because I just had to, I in that focus, it frees up like so much energy. And again, we can set automation and we can do other things, but it's just a commitment to, I'm not available to be everywhere at all times, which leads to my announcement about Wealthy Coach Club. Those of you that are in Wealthy Coach Club, we're going to be archiving that group back to, I'm trying to be everywhere. And if I have a message, just be consistent and share the message in one place. And heads up, Wealthy Coach Club is going to be archived. You'll still have access to all your courses, all of the content, all of that. But at the end of the day, my vision for Wealthy Coach Club, and this is another business lesson for all of us, the other thing that I find that I do really fast in my business is I pivot fast. This is actually an example of jumping into the fear and just doing shit. I might have did it too fast. I could have maybe let it grow a little bit, percolate a little bit more. But we opened up Wealthy Coach Club in April. And my intention for Wealthy Coach Club was that it was a self-sustaining community. I actually don't love facilitating community. That's not my zone of genius. This is my zone of genius. I love all of you having community with each other, but I don't like being the one that's holding the community, creating the engagement in community. That's just not the best use of my skills and talents. So my vision for Wealthy Coach Club, and there were some amazing rock stars that really took this on, but it fizzled, was that the community would become self-sustaining and that I wouldn't have to hold all the energy for community. And my main interest in Wealthy Coach Club was the ability to deliver courses and teach wisdom that comes to me, and do live events and have a calendar for live events like this. I don't need that platform to do those two things. I already have other platforms to do those two things. So the only purpose that Wealthy Coach Club was really serving for me was community, but I didn't want to be the one responsible for the community. So I'm sharing all this as an example about how to move through various business decisions like this. If it's not honoring your gifts, talents, and if the intention isn't coming to fruition the way that you anticipated it might, and then all of a sudden it just becomes static. Like for me, it's just hanging out there, and it's, I should be out there engaging. I should be trying to reinvigorate that group. All that shoulding on myself means it's time for it to go away and to free up the space to do what I'm best at, which is showing up on these classes and showing up with a message every single day that inspires people to shift their energy and shift their consciousness. And to do it in Wealthy Coach Club for 350 people, or to do it on LinkedIn where there's millions of people and the potential to reach millions of people, I'm going to go over to LinkedIn and share the message there instead of in this gatekeeping private community. So yeah, anyways, I hope that example helps as you're approaching, no matter what level of business you're in, decisions. Just because this is another big topic about integrity. Just because my definition of integrity, and many of you have been following me, we're in this group and then I ditch it, and then we're in this group and I ditch it, and then we migrate to this technology. And it's at the end of the day, integrity to me means I always follow my heart and follow my intuition. So if I say, oh, I'm starting this community, Wealthy Coach Club, and we're going to be doing all these things, and we get into it and it feels heavy to me and it doesn't feel expansive and it feels constricting, my integrity is to honor how I feel, because how I feel and how you feel in your heart and in your intuition, how you feel is for the highest good for everyone. And if it feels tight and constricting, it is not for your highest good or anybody else's. And if it feels expansive and enlightening and exciting, it is for everybody's highest good. So to me, that's the definition of integrity that I use, is I have a fierce responsibility to honor what feels expansive and what feels constricted and act in accordance to that. But it takes hyper awareness to make sure I'm not doing it from fear, to make sure you're not doing it from doubt, to make sure you're not, that's all the hyper awareness stuff. But you can feel it in your body if it feels tight or if it feels expansive, and continue to grow in the awareness there, continue to grow in the awareness of how it sounds in your thoughts. So expansive thoughts are neutral. They just are. Constrictive thoughts, whether they sound good or bad, constrictive thoughts have a tone, they have a voice. I think that's why my voice changes so much when I'm talking, because whenever it's like the illusion, the illusory voice, like it sounds different. Whereas the true higher self voice is just this calm, neutral, peaceful voice. So you'll know if it's expansive or contracting in your thoughts. How does that voice sound in your head, in your body? Does it feel like things are caving in and coming in tight, or does it feel like wide open? And so again, integrity to me is honoring that guidance that's coming through my thoughts, my intuition, my body, my emotions, and all of the senses that I have available to me to show me. So anyways, I'm sharing that with you because some of you are holding on to things way too long. You're holding on to things because you're like, but I said I was going to do this. And it's, yeah, and you get to change your mind like over and over again. And the people that judge you for changing your mind were never meant to be the people for you to serve anyway. And so you being you and doing you and following your joy and following your happiness is what creates a complete magnetism for the people that you are destined to impact. And you not following your joy and following your energy and following your excitement and following, your heart and following your intuition is like a big mask that calls in a bunch of people that you were never meant to serve in the first place. And yeah, it's really interesting to think about it that way. Faith versus fear, faith in spirit, faith in myself. Oh, good question. The first thing that dropped in as soon as I heard that question was they're one and the same. Faith in ourself is faith in spirit, and they're literally one and the same. And I think that the decoy or the distraction is believing that we have to create faith in ourselves. The desire to create faith in ourselves is the exact thing that keeps us separate from the oneness. So it's, I have to have faith in myself. To me, it's faith in the all, which is encompassing you. Faith in the unseen. Faith in, these are the belief systems that we hold. But they're not superficial, they're fully integrated. So when I have a belief that comes in that's like, I believe that everything happens for my highest good. It's not a rationalization frequency. It's like a belief. It's like a knowing. And so it's also discernment about like, when are we saying things like that, but it's lip service because we're trying to convince ourselves that we believe. And when are we saying things like that because we really believe? Like we know, I always say, I know, like I know. It's like the belief, like you cannot change my mind in any other direction. Mind you, in human design, I have a closed, defined head. And so you usually can't change my mind even when it's like way off base or pretty stubborn. But it's like a deeper knowing, like in all of me. It's so faith versus fear. So a belief that I know, like I know, is that I could never make a wrong decision. So then if you could never make a wrong decision, what are you scared of? And it goes back to that question I'd asked earlier. If success were inevitable, how do I know? Most of the time, most of us can look back. The decisions that we've made that maybe we judge ourselves for. Oh, this is so great. I just had another Voxer exchange this morning with a client, and it was about intuition. And I said something along the lines of what she said was, I didn't listen to my intuition. And she had self-judgment. She said, I didn't listen to my intuition for so long. Like I've been having this gut feeling about this for so long and I didn't listen to it. And I just listened to it and I took the action and I feel liberated. I feel freaking amazing. And I'm like, so let's stop judging ourselves for not listening to the intuition sooner, because if you listen to the intuition sooner, you wouldn't be able to have this experience of like massive liberation and freedom and power. And you just integrated a new belief because you did take so long. And it's not a rationalization, like it's the truth. Like you just integrated a new belief because it became so strong. The feeling was so strong about liberation. You will never forget this. Whereas if you would have followed your intuition before, that's what I mean. It's not usually a block. And faith versus fear is just sometimes fear is the only thing that can create faith. Why does it have to be either or? And sometimes holding on to the fear until we get sick and tired of being afraid and we just fucking do it is the thing that builds the faith and builds the muscle. And sometimes the longer it takes, the more we receive and integrate it on the back end. So when I say I have a genuine belief, you can't mess it up. If you don't go through the fear and you allow the fear to live for months or years, you still can't mess it up. And if you go through the fear, you can't mess it up. So then it's just, what do I have? But then usually in my experience with a belief like that, there's no reason to put off the fear because what do I have to be afraid of? So the fastest path to faith is through fear. So again, it's really interesting that the message that first dropped into that question is that faith in self and faith in spirit is one and the same. Guess what? Fear and faith is one and the same as well. One cannot exist without the other. You don't need faith or courage if you don't have fear. And how about we just fall in love with fear? Because we don't get to experience faith and courage without it. And what kind of an existence would that be if we never had the opportunity to experience courage? We would, now let's talk about the lemon. we would be missing out on the opportunity to the fullest human experience. But we don't even know we're missing out, so we're not worried about missing out on it. It's really great. Okay. Thanks. I know you're mostly seeing me on Instagram. Thank you for the shares and the love. And come on over to LinkedIn for some deeper engagement, if it speaks to you. What's happening in Chicago? Oh my gosh, thank you for asking. I'm going to share, and then I got to go pretty soon here. Chicago, I love that I get to share this story because it's very personal, but it's super spontaneous. So I have a brand new client I started working with, and she has some really huge things happening in Chicago right now. And she's like, you should just come. And I was like, everything inside of me was like, yes, I should come. I want to come. Like, I want to be in the live space. And so just on a whim, I'm heading to Chicago. I have 3 different clients that I'm going to be able to connect with in person, belly to belly. And my husband's coming with. We just had our 21st anniversary. So we're just taking a spontaneous trip to Chicago, a little bit of, what do they say, bleisure, business, leisure, pleasure, all of it. It all merges together. And I'm heading to my first ever Broadway show. I can't believe I've never been to a Broadway show before, and have amazing seats for that and lovely dinners planned. And yeah, so that's Chicago. Really cool stuff. Quick question. You mentioned a get together. When and where can we register? So I do have an event happening for my inner circle of private clients in Palm Springs in September. It's a pretty significant investment, but just 2 days ago, yesterday, actually, I was talking to one of my clients, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to extend a couple of guest passes for people who've been called to come into a live intensive space. It's 2 full days of full immersion into energy. The last time I did a retreat, my intention is always you walk in as one version of yourself and you walk out of the event as the future version of yourself, and your whole world domino effects into that new reality. So if any of you are on this call and you've been feeling the itch or the desire for a in-person intensive, I have a beautiful place that I'm renting, perfect setup for a small group of people. I can't imagine we'll have more than 10 there. And yeah, whether if it's calling to you, again, considering the investment's going to be, I don't know for sure what it'll be. I know what it is for my private clients, but it'll be a few $1,000 plus your travel expenses. But it will be the most transformational thing you've probably ever done in your life, because that's just how live events go. So if it's calling to any of you and you want to explore one of those guest passes, I'm happy to have a conversation to see if it feels like a fit and like the right time for you to step into a live intensive in September with myself and a few of my inner circle clients. Okay. Big takeaways. Thank you for sharing. So what now? What? Discernment, anxiety versus intuition. Slow down for excitement, move through fear. I love that. Oh, one other quick update. Because we are going to be archiving the school group or Wealthy Coach Club, all these replays are actually just going to be live in YouTube. Again, I'm just like done gatekeeping shit. Like, this stuff's too powerful to keep behind a gate and make people opt in all the time for. And it's just going to be out there for whoever wants to find it and discover it, and allow the universe to make it easier for people to synchronistically happen across the message that's meant for them. So yeah, I'm just like ungatekeeping pretty much all my shit and putting it on LinkedIn and these on YouTube, and then just working really closely with private clients and an inner circle of people committed to raising their consciousness, which ripples out into the world. Okay, thanks everybody. Have an amazing rest of your week, and we will see you in 2 weeks again for Mystery Masterclass. For whatever wants to come through, powerful stuff. Mwah. Love you all. Goodbye.